Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. I'm with the Wolf, and just general share advice and not personal advice, as per the disclaimer on the website and on the video. Welcome, Wolf.
Yep. Welcome.
Welcome. Now, I just want to have a look. Wolf, we're going to go through the commodities today. We're going to have a look at the commodities.
Yep.
Because there's talk of inflation. Commodities tend to do quite well. They are doing well. I mean, the commodities have been fantastic movers over the last year. That a lot of them still look good on the charts. So we're going to go through some of those commodities. We're going to match them up with some stocks to look at. If you like that commodity, that's something you could have a look at. And before we do that, we're just going to have a quick squizzy of some of the news came out today. And the first one we had was a VMT. Nice little move up, Wolf, actually, to be honest with you. I know you.
I'm not 100% convinced on this one, Dave. Look, it should, theoretically, should do extremely well because it's in the electric vehicle space, mainly scooters, right? So you think to yourself, possibly a big market there. This should be going. The problem is they've been around for many years. China-centric, just really, for me, just really get hard to get behind the company when it's completely in China and just a lot of unknowns in there. So that's the other problem. And they've had a checkered history. So, it's just, there's a few things in there that's stopping me loving this company. But you can see today's announcement, record profits, it's sending the share price higher, right? So on the back of that, you think to yourself, is this a trade here at the very least? So I think maybe we just got to wait till the end of the week, Dave, and see where it's at.
We're going to do what we always do, combine fundamentals and technicals together. The story's not strong enough. We're going to see where this is at the end of the week, and possibly, if it's on Einstein's, guys, have a look at it on the weekend.
Yep.
AVH, which is a story that we love because we see ourselves being the possibility of eternal beauty. If they can,
if they come up with some sort of a elixir of youth, I'm signing up.
Yeah, and that's all we care. All we care about is our looks, really. Me and Wolf.
Yes, exactly.
So, Wolfie, obviously it's still in developmental phase. Not a bad announcement, but unfortunately it's just below the charts. We can't buy this, Wolf. It's just on a downward spiral at the moment. But let it keep falling, because I'll tell you what, if it got to 50 cents and then it jumped above the trend line, we'd be all in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's coming, at least from a fundamental point of view, it's finally coming down to some sort of reasonable valuation, just on the fact this is not $1 billion. It's 300 something million now. So we've still got probably maybe a little bit more to go, but it's getting there.
So Polynoval, PNB, been a great trending chart last few years, Wolf. Obviously below trend, we don't like it, and you can see it's gone from what, $3 down by half. This is why it's very important. You follow the Cincinnati system, and it still hasn't done enough for me, Wolfie. Still I want to see this back over 220, really.
I agree. Look, the announcement would seem decent enough, where you think, okay, it might do something today, with a fairly positive update and talking about US, how it's going quite well and growing strongly. The flip side to it was the other jurisdictions that are in wasn't quite as good. So I think at the end of the day, the biggest market is the US. So that's what the market's rewarding it for. But still, it's probably just too expensive for what it is at the moment. So it just needs to do a bit more for us to do another trade on this.
Well, if I've got to talk about BrainChip, because it's on. There's a good article on the AFR about this today, and it's got no revenue. It's just it's nearly doubled in share price over the last 2 weeks. There's an ASX query, and they said we got no idea. We don't know what's going on.
What is going on is the question, right? And I'm thinking, is there a capital raising coming? Well, that's my first always question when I see a big spike.
You'd think they'd be looking at it, wouldn't you? If your share prices, if you've gone from what they've gone from, when you look at their market cap, they've had a nice little move from
60 cents to $1.15, right? So $1.11.5. So you think to yourself, okay, we're a $1 billion market cap. Now we're $2 billion market cap. I think it's time to go to the well again. So watch the space, maybe. But maybe there's an announcement coming. We don't know. Maybe there's another offtake or some other company joining the right. You just don't know. So there must be something happening, because I just can't imagine this is going on nothing.
So anyway, traders out there, if you're going to trade this, I wouldn't trade it because it's too hard for me, Wolf. But if you did trade it, you're going to have to trade it when the stock has a massive move like this. You're going to have to trade it off your daily chart, and simply if it goes below $1 by the end of the day, then you've got to get out, right? So, but it's highly risky trade, and certainly not one that I'd be looking at, because the odds aren't in my favor, Wolf. The better time to buy this would obviously be a different time in its history. But what I would say, okay, BrainChip's had this massive move up. Weebit, I quite like the chart, yeah. In fact, it's not far off a buy signal. If it could do a little bit more and get over end about 310 by the end of the week, maybe a little buy signal. Is Weebit going to follow suit like it always has in the past, Wolf? It's always sort of lagged BRN, hasn't it? I mean,
I don't know, but if you go on history, I'd have a go. Right? Because it does tend to follow it, right? So you think to yourself, well, market cap BRN 2 billion. This is only still worth less than $1 billion. So following similar patterns previously. Educated punt.
Yeah, so it's something that one might look at. I mean, market cap actually less than 500 million. So
there you go.
So
a quarter.
So, but you can't say there's value here either, can you? Really?
No, but it's relative, isn't it? It's valued relative to BRN, but is it relative to the market? Maybe not.
All right. So if you were going to trade this, guys, you're going to have to look at that stop loss around 289. You buy at $3, stop loss at 289, and you're going to target around 340. I don't know. Shall we make that an official one, Wolf?
You go for it. Come on. Since it's BRN and going for it, let's go with Weebit. Let's be cheeky, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least
I'll go for like around 330. I think.
Come on, price. 350.
345.
Okay.
Oh my god. And stop loss around that. I think 289. Pretty tight stop.
Because I'm thinking, look, if there's going to be a spike, I'm thinking it's going to shoot pretty well. So I'm happy with that 350 target. 345 is good enough for me. So you're getting yourself 15%, which is decent.
All right, now Wolf, we're going to get to the bit that I'm excited about.
Let's talk commodities, shall we?
And that is commodities. So now,
start from the top. Obviously, we're not interested in oil and gas. It's just too difficult, too hard. So let's forget about that. So I'm going to go straight down to the coal. Right.
So we look at coal, and this is thermal coal.
Is it, or is this hard coking coal at 203? Hang on, that's per ton. That's T stands for ton. So let me just have a quick look. What's the? Hang on. I'm going to have a quick search to see what we're talking about here. Thermal coal prices. All data. It's coming back to that same page. I'm putting the wrong bloody thing. Oh, Dave. All right, let's move on from coal. I'm going to have a look at it in a second. Let's move on from coal for the moment. I just wanted to see whether this is thermal or this is hard coking. So let's move on.
It makes a difference big time.
It does.
Which ones we're going to pick. So, right. So we're going to go down the list, and the next one, uranium. So let's have a look at the uranium chart, and we're going to look at on the weekly. And really, this is what the last 5 years, and uranium is starting to recover, Wolf, right? So, and it's not looking too bad.
I don't mind it. The only problem I've got with uranium, I'm not sure this is sustainable or fundamentally strong. Remember, there was a fund or two buying physical uranium. That does not tell me this is fundamentally strong. This is just some manipulation going on. So where is it going from here? I'm not so sure. I'd rather play something else. However, I don't mind the chart at the moment of uranium. So let's be okay with it.
Wolf, I think if anything, it's saying here like in Kazakhstan supplies 40% of the global uranium supply, and obviously at the moment they've got a little bit of a sort of civil war going on, and so what you just might see, potentially you could see a little bit of a spike in some of these uranium prices over next week or so. So maybe we're just going to see that short-term spike back up to that sort of around that 50 US dollars.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just say it's okayish to positive right now in the short term. Let's move on to the next one, Dave.
Okay, so but if you're going to pick a uranium play, have you got a favorite?
Look, it's a difficult space because really there aren't any good ones in Australia. There's only just punts, right? Remember our little BOE and PDN would probably be the two that I'd be looking at. Other than that, the rest of them are probably even a rung below. So, yeah, choose your story.
Okay, but PDN, are you a PDN fan?
I'm not a fan of any uranium stocks, Dave. I'm just giving you, if you squeeze my arm and punch me in the nose, if I had to say something because I'm tortured, I'd give you those two names.
So which ones would you give us?
I'd give you BOE and PDN.
Okay, all right. And I'm looking at ERA, looks a really good chart. Actually,
that's okay. Also okay.
Yeah, and I had it on Einstein's. It's not far for bicycle. It's gone through beautifully. And let's look at BOE. Let's have a look at BOE a little bit. So, yeah, okay. That chart looks very, very nice, doesn't it? And maybe if uranium is going to have a move in the next 2 weeks, they could have a little bit of a move higher. Okay, I totally get it.
Yep. Not too bad.
Right. Okay. But let's just qualify. You're not crazy.
I'm not super enthused on uranium. No, I'm not. And then it's not just uranium itself. It's just the lack of good quality companies as well under this space.
Right. I'm going to go straight to copper, Wolf.
Yep.
Obviously,
Thank you.
We're not going to do gold.
No.
And I've got, and you can see copper has been very, very strong, really, hasn't it, over the last sort of 2 years. And it's going sideways at the moment, but holding up at a very, very, very nice level. So, when I look at copper prices, if you look at which stories would be your preferred copper plays, Wolf?
Well, the standout is OZL, right? That's the number one player for us. And we've done very well with OZL as our preferred trading story, I suppose. But then there's others. Of course, you can go down the bigger side of things, copper with BHP and Rio, and S32, which I like, which you'll see S32 add up to a lot of stories for us. So that's the sort of, stories I'd maybe have a look at. But then there are some good stories, smaller stories, like let's say IGO is pretty good. Again, diversified now, so it's not a pure play copper, but IGO is not bad. And then you've got a little bit less, maybe what is it? Sandfire, SFR as a player. But really, if I'm going to play anything, it would be OZL as my number one pick for almost a pure play copper with gold, right? That's what I'd be playing at. But SFR, as you can see, it's not bad either.
Well, at the moment, I think SFR is winning the battle of the charts. It looks very, very good, actually, Wolf. So maybe if people like the copper play, they could have a look at SFR. Maybe this looks like it could run up a little bit higher to that $7.50 level.
Okay. Next one.
Well, going back to commodities, we're going back down to obviously iron ore.
Yep.
And we're looking at a little bit what the iron ore price. Now, last year we had this tremendous move up to 225, and certain experts, notably a gentleman that works in Macquarie Place, or I think it's tipped it to go to $300, and then immediately it went back down to 80. But it's fighting back. It's fighting back very, very.
And you probably got a promotion.
Yeah, he most probably did. But Wolf, it's fought back absolutely beautifully. It's coming at 120. So, the copper, the iron ore companies are making a lot of money at this sort of price. So, which would be your? Can I start with your pure iron ore plays? Which would be your pick of the bunch?
If I'm going to go with it, it has to be CAA as the number one, followed closely by FMG as number two, pure play iron ore plays. But I'm not that super hot on iron ore. I have to be honest here. It's come down. It's not, the chart's not as good as the other charts we've seen so far of some of their commodities. So yeah, it's all right. I know, if we have a bit of a more of a recovery in iron ore, we definitely CAA and FMG are probably going to do quite well. But I don't see a reason for it to go much higher than this at this stage, right?
So they might. So if people are trending these, they might edge up a little bit higher, especially maybe FMG as it's coming nearer to the dividend payout. But what you're saying is you're still a little bit cautious on the iron ore place.
Yeah, well, the fundamentals, global fundamentals say, are we going to see a 220 price again in the near term? No, we shouldn't, right? So that's where I'm taking my cue from. I just think maybe 120, 150 maybe is a bridge too far to get back up to there. So maybe 125 is roughly where it's going to maybe trade for a little while until we see another catalyst somewhere.
Yeah, and if you look at the past, 125 has proved a bit of resistance. It really, I think you might see the iron ore place go a lot higher if it can break above that 130 level.
Yeah, but I think we need some sort of catalyst, maybe like a Vale saying we're going to cut down production further or something on those lines. Or China saying we're going to stockpile lots of iron ore again. I don't know. I mean, fundamentally, when you see where China is at the moment, and they are not in a great space, and just globally, I think for the time being, can't see a further rises in iron ore or a big spike.
But also you've got the Beijing 2022 Olympics coming, haven't you, where they tend to sort of, they don't want the whole place too polluted.
No, that's right. So they stop everything, don't they?
So something obviously
short term.
Yeah. So iron ore, you're not at the moment it's looking okay, but you're not crazy.
No.
Now, one thing that commodity that is obviously the talk of the town, and it's obviously lithium. And if you look at what lithium's done over the last 2 years,
extraordinary.
Right, but is this the start? Do you think this breaks through that resistance?
Dave, I think what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years, this will moderate significantly because there's going to be a lot of mines coming on board that have obviously been in planning phase and now in development phase. Or, there's a few already in Australia. So you can imagine Australia is one, probably Canadians, the Americans, Europeans. There'll be so many mines trying to get up and trying to benefit out of these high lithium carbonate prices and spodumene that I'd say economics 101, supply demand, will probably see that moderate eventually. So for the moment, it looks incredible, but that cannot be sustained, I don't think, in the long term. So look, play the charts at the moment how it is. So it's pretty hot. You've got a lot of the companies in there. We'll mention 5 that we really like. And of course, they're going to be all producers. But you can have a look at the charts there. And PLS, I think we've got, PLS, AKE, IGO.
Let's have a look at them. So these are the preferred lithium producers, and certainly lithium looks the strongest chart. And you can see AK looking very, very good. Far away with which ones?
PLS.
And these have all been just fantastic trending stocks for us over the last year or two.
Look, I actually think there might be some sort of a profit-taking session somewhere in the near future because they're almost starting to look vertical, especially when you look at that price of lithium. But anyway, for the moment, it looks very, very strong. So AKE, PLS, let's have a look at, say, MAN, which has obviously got lithium and iron ore. So double whammy for anyone who's maybe holds it at the moment.
Yeah, I do feel when you look at the price action of the charts, you need to be a little bit careful of these, Wolf. You really want to try and buy these just as they're bouncing off trend lines, don't you? Exactly when we put mineral resources on just for Christmas, when it's had that little move.
Yep.
But certainly, you're looking for that dip in these stories. You're looking for a dip in PLS. You're looking for a dip in some of these, and to get onto the lithium bandwagon.
All right, IGO.
And IGO, where it's all fairly similar.
Yeah.
Again, not quite as drastic move from trend, and any sort of weakness down to that sort of 1050 level, you'd be looking at it.
Yeah, and look, and the last one for me is West Farmers, which again is a dark horse. Really, no one's talking about it. It's going to be a lithium player, which is good because they're going to surprise someone in the next couple of years. But if you've got a fundamentally strong company with a bit of lithium to boot, and if lithium stays strong for the next couple of years, I'd say they're going to spin up a lot of cash. Hopefully, that's going to add to the West Farmer story. But anyway, that's more of a industrial, but you've got a lithium exposure in there. So you've got 5 diversified, interesting stories in there. And of course, you've got a plethora, Dave, an absolute plethora. You've got a smorgasbord of what you can choose below those 5, from your INRs to your, I know there's just so many names out there that I'm just get confused. But there's loads and loads and loads you can play.
All right, we're gonna go down. Do you want to have a look at platinum?
Yeah, let's have a quick look at platinum because Chalice, platinum group metals. So I want to have a look at this because it's very, very important. There's a lot of FOMO going on in this space, and
I'm sort of surprised, Wolf, because when you look at the chart, Chalice obviously last year had a fantastic run up, but the price of platinum wasn't
exactly
amazing.
So this is an interesting way of looking at stuff and thinking, why should I actually be playing Chalice? Maybe take some profits. If platinum was on a run,
what's the Chalice? What's the Chalice? CHL?
CHN.
CHN, that's it. Yeah. I mean, it's holding trend, isn't it? But
it's holding trend. It's a good. Don't get me wrong. It's a good story, great discovery. You name it. But if this is all dependent on where the platinum prices are or will be in the next few years. And at the moment, you just don't see much movement in it, right? So while there's talk that platinum it will be used in the critical, componentry and new gadgets and so on, it just doesn't look get excited enough, does it? You think to yourself, have I had a run with this? Is it time to take some profits, or maybe at least hold and just if it gets below that $8, I'm out? Maybe that's the sort of strategy you want to play with this, because that's not inspiring, is it?
No, not definitely not at all.
All right, so let's go down to.
As I go down, now aluminium.
Yeah, look, Dave, this has got to be my favorites of them all. So I love the chart. So you had a massive spike. It's come back, hit a like 2,500. It's gone back to the. Now, the reason why I like it is not just the chart itself, it's the actual uses of aluminium and moving. It's like one of those dark horses. Everyone's talking lithium, right? But that's just all batteries. But aluminium is used in electric vehicles. It's used in aerospace. It's used in laptops, TVs, everything you can think of. It's used in actual renewable energy in rotors and so on. So there's so many uses for aluminium, and I think this is the one that if I was going to set myself somewhere, I'd be looking at this for the longer term.
It's interesting what they're saying here, Wolf. It's saying here Europe's largest aluminium smelter, Aluminium Dunkerque, how do you spell it? It's set to reduce production by 15%, and the second largest, Alcoa Corp, will halt aluminium output for 2 years at Europe's second largest aluminium plant in Spain. You think that would be very? Meanwhile, a ban on
for the prices of aluminium, surely.
Meanwhile, a ban on Indonesia exports of thermal coal prompted a surge in coal prices, likely to push aluminium production down in both China and India.
But this is all short-term type stuff, I suppose. I'm more of longer-term view. I think just generally there's going to be further uses for aluminium in the EV space, in aerospace, in planes. They're all made of aluminium. So there's going to be a return to really big usage of aluminium in a medium to longer term. So I am quite bullish on aluminium. At least it's going to be fairly stronger for longer, I think.
Oh, all right. So Wolf, you're looking at it, the price.
I'm liking it.
The price has nearly doubled.
Yeah.
And you're looking at stories like I suppose S32. which actually ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of stories we're about to talk about.
It does, doesn't it? It does.
And Western Areas, WSA, which are all looking good on the chart. So you could.
Sorry, Western Areas is nickel. So the other one's AWC.
Oh, sorry, AWC.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm reading the wrong line. Right, and we got AWC. And again, AWC looks very good on the chart. So it looks like it's sort of poking its head up, right? I actually quite like this one, Wolf. If this looks like this by the end of the week. I think we want to be buying this.
Okay.
This looks very, very nice. So you've seen these two nickel stories, S32 and AWC, looking very, very good, right?
It does. It's looking positive, but you got to take the longer term view with these things. So while I like it, there's no guarantee that's going to pan out how I'm thinking it probably will pan out. And there are hotter commodities in there right now, like lithium, but it's like one of those rabbit and a hare. I think rabbit and a hare, rabbit and the turtle, the hare, the turtle, not rabbit. Otherwise, they'll be finishing on the line the same way at the same time. So this is a turtle, but it's a long-term turtle. It's gonna keep going and going and going and going with this demand for all this new age type componentry and gadgetry. Anyway, let's move on. So aluminium is my favorite. So you got two ways of playing it. Let's move on to.
And we're just going to confirm those stories. S32, and the other one is
AWC. Yeah.
Now, did you want to have a look at zinc?
No, don't worry about zinc. Zinc is not exciting. I think tin is probably the next one that really. I think you saw that you love that one, right?
Well, of course. I mean, tin is looking a little bit. Lithium-like, isn't it? Right, and of course your play in tin,
the one and only MLX,
right? So let's have a look.
And I'm sure there's other little penny punts out there that have got some deposits and so on, but we're really more interested in the producers, the ones that can increase the cash flow significantly and reward the shareholders, right? That's what we're looking for first and foremost. If we can't find it, then we'll go on to the next sort of line. But MLX probably ticks the boxes there. Is a producer, will probably benefit out of this huge spike in tin in the short term, which hopefully maybe means big dividends coming up if they can make money out of this.
Looks very, very interesting, doesn't it, Wolf? So we go down the list, Wolfie, and from tin we got nickel, and again nickel looking very, very good. Very, very looking really, really strong here, Wolf. What are your nickel plays then?
Dave, just before I go on to the plays, there was an interesting article today in AFR talking about BHP and MD saying we're moving into Tanzania with nickel. So they are betting big on nickel, right? They obviously love that space, and you got to take notice of that. Because BHP is the biggest miner in the world, right? So if they move somewhere, you think, okay, well, they must think that the next 10 years should be quite positive for nickel. And they're moving into Tanzania, which is not normally traditionally a place where BHP would go because they usually stick to their jurisdictions we like. So that's interesting, right? That they are going down that route. So it gives you comfort that nickel should be quite good as a commodity to play with over the next few years. So what are the nickel players? You obviously got your against S32s, right? Which is good. So I love the fact S32 ticks so many boxes and so many commodities. So that's a positive.
And the reason being, Wolf, is that S32 was were originally part of BHP, and what they did, they split a lot of their sort of so less
not core assets, let's call it, right? The ones that it just wasn't quite making sense to them. They wanted to just concentrate on the main metals, the ones that can control a lot of the pricing maybe for. So you had your coal, you had your iron ore, you had your coppers, right?
But now a lot of those fringe commodities are really
looking great,
looking fantastic. So
exactly. So great, great obviously for S32, and we've seen this play out before. S32 has not been around for only 5 minutes. It's been spun out maybe 5 to 6 years ago or something like that, even maybe further. And he already had one of those big spikes. It's come back cyclically. Now it's back on a tear again. So I think this is this is why we're getting onto this. Is this is another one of those cycles that we want to be part of? I'd say so, because it's looking pretty good. So S32, IGO again, you know, they've got that Nova nickel mine, which is obviously doing very, very well, and they've got that lithium and copper as well. So again, another good player to have if you're looking at diversification. If you're looking for a pure play nickel, you'd probably be looking at Western areas, which are under takeover from IGO, by the way. And then, of course, if you are going to look at something else, lower tier, you're probably looking at those NICs and POSs in the world. So you look, there's still a few things, and you know, there's Panoramic, of course, in there as well that you can maybe have a look at, Dave, if you want to have a look at the chart to see if it's any good. But you've got a few things to play with.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much. That's some, you know what? It's just good to look at these commodities and get some ideas and
get a feel for both, right? The company and what's driving it. What are the commodities they're looking at? All right, I think the last one we're going to have a look at today, Dave, because we're going to take a lot of time, is neodymium. So let's look at the rare earths space, which really another commodity that I'm really excited about. So aluminium and this are the two that I'm thinking.
Oh, look at the
do very well.
I mean, you know, you look at this. You look at lithium, tin, neodymium. These guys, aluminium. Those four are winning the top. They're the top four, aren't they? Really?
Absolutely. So if I'm holding LIC and I'm looking at this, I'm thinking I'm not selling, right? Why would you, when you're seeing and you start thinking about, okay, what is the outlook for the next 5 to 10 years, and you think very strong. You know, this space is critical really for the next phase of global growth and development, because remember, we're going to a phase of renewable energy, which rare earths are very critical to. So look, I'd be sticking with LIC now. What are the other players? There's really not much really on offer quality-wise. There are little penny punts out there like ARU and maybe, let me think, there was a couple of others that I just can't remember. But, you know, they will have the spikes here and there.
Wolf, it's interesting, ARU, with the great move that we've had on the commodity. It's done nothing in the last year.
I know, but just shows that what an advantage LYC has, because they're a producer. It's Dave, I can tell you from experience, because I've obviously been in this industry for a long time. I haven't seen a new producer in rare earths for the last 15 years in Australia. So it just shows you how difficult it is to come up with a new mine, right?
Which is the nearest one that's sort of just behind LYC?
I think one of them has got a little pilot plant going. Now, a pilot plant's not going to make any money, but you've got a demonstration plant that, you know, if you can get that $1 billion to someone lend you, you can maybe build a bigger plant and finally make some money on it on a bigger scale. But there isn't one. This is the problem I've got. I don't know which one is going to be the next one that's going to come out and say, we are going to build a mine. Look, okay, I'm lying. Maybe let me just go back slightly. There is one that possibly could really make a big difference, and that's the one that's been relisted from Alkane. What's I think it's called
AKM, is it?
That's it. That's the one. I think that's the only one I'm thinking that if it's gonna, anything's gonna get up to the next. No, it's not AKM.
It's AMK.
ASM.
Right.
That's it. Okay. If anyone is gonna get up, I think this is the only one that's got the chance right now. However, it's had its huge spike. This is a 10 bagger already, right? It's come back to some sort of trend lines. The next step really for them is funding. Where are they going to find that $2 billion bucks from? That's going to be the question now. So that's what's facing the industry right now, the funding. Who's going to pay for all these mines? That's why LYC is in such a great position. They are just benefiting and benefiting and benefiting.
You know, when you look at it all, it's LYC, isn't it? It keeps coming out on top.
I know.
Yeah. Chart, the whole, you know, it's a winning. It's just a winning story.
But look, you just never know. In the next 6 months, we could see someone come up and say, we've got the funding, and then we're probably going to go, well, let's play with that.
Right, Wolf, I think we are correct on the coal, by the way. Just want to have a quick look at coal. That is thermal, I do believe.
Yeah, it is. You're right. I had a look at it.
And we just want to have a look. And again, we've had a fantastic move up, and coal again starting to have another strong move up, which looks maybe helped by Indonesia, obviously cutting exports, but looking very, very good. So, which are your preferred coal plays in?
Look, the same old, isn't it? We've been playing like 3 of them or 4 of them, and I think nothing's changed. It's just
WHC.
they've spiked up, they've come back with the price drop in the coal, and now going back up and with a spike in coal. So same old, nothing's changed for us.
Okay, so NHE, WHC. Now, Wolf, I just want to say, you know, obviously, this really underlines this move in commodities why we like BHP, which has the nickels, it has the coppers, it has the iron ores, and possibly in the future it will have the lithiums as well. So, it's such a an interesting commodity story that holds so many great commodities at the moment.
Yep. So while the commodities cycle is in our favor, we're going to play it. We can't just let it slide by. So we're in. So we have to play it.
All right, guys. Listen. On that note, thank you very much. We've gone on a little bit too long today, but we just wanted to go through these commodities and the interesting commodities, the ones that look the most interesting, and certainly aluminium is in there, tin is in there, lithium's in there, coal's looking good, aluminium, I think we're saying nickel looks very, very good. So these are the stories that obviously that if they start to trend are going to draw our interest a lot more than maybe some other commodities which are obviously just moving sideways. Agreed. So it's just an important part of the psyche which stocks to trend and which stocks to have a look at. And the great Wolf has given us some really good ideas that we might look at in a number of those commodities. And certainly that S32 is ticking a lot of boxes as well for me at the moment, Wolf. Yep. I'm going to leave you with this nice.
Before you go, Dave, we just got to mention that we're back with our Ask the Analyst live. We had it on Friday, but we're going to have it on tonight, Tuesday. So please join us for a night talk on stocks.
Right. Thank you very much, Wolfie, and have a great day, everybody. Bye bye.
See ya.